Welcome back to Headlines. I'm Wes Austin, and these are today's top stories. First up, actor Jeff Daniels says that he hopes Republicans who voted for Trump are losing money. That's right. The guy from Dumb and Dumber is lecturing people about making bad decisions. Then, remember that $100 million that Hollywood raised for the LA fire victims? Turns out most of the victims haven't received a dime, but a bunch of nonprofits have. Imagine that your life burns to the ground, but the priority is to make sure that no one has to see a Columbus statue ever again. Next, Jon Stewart hired a gospel choir to scream the F word at Paramount because Colbert's show got canceled. Stewart's choir performance had more F-bombs than that Hunter Biden interview. I don't know if you saw it, but there were a bunch of them. We've got the video clip. It will be censored a lot. And finally, Stephen Colbert fired back at President Trump on his show with an F-bomb response. Man, he must have been sharing notes with Jon Stewart. Can you imagine him like, I don't know what to do on my show. Like, well, I'm going to use the F word. Ooh, that sounds good. Colbert's show is losing $40 million a year right now, and apparently he's trying to make it $50 million a year. And then we go to the comment section. So the first comment we're looking at is on the video segment that we did on Karen Bass, where she said, knowing the identities of ICE agents really didn't matter because they're not from LA. Remember that one? Anyway, we had a number of comments asking if doxing is a crime, so we are going to look at that. Then the other comment was from the article or segment we did about the high-speed rail in California being canceled. Somebody pointed out, well, actually a number of people pointed out that Newsom seems to have a lot of money. So we're going to take a look at Newsom and his $9 million mansion. Okay, let's dive in. Actor Jeff Daniels wants Republicans who voted for President Trump to lose tons of money. Don't worry, Jeff. Biden's economy already took care of that. Daniels went on the podcast of MSNBC's Nicole Wallace. When Daniels says Mitch, he is referring to Mitch McConnell.
And Mitch and company could see it coming. They were going to be the minority. So they just started, and then here we are. And now you got it. And now you're losing money. I hope you're losing tons of money, those of you who thought this would be okay.
Imagine being judged by Jeff Daniels, the man who spent 2 movies not realizing he was the dumber one. FireAid raised $100 million for LA fire victims, but most of them haven't seen a dime. But hey, at least the celebrities who organize it got some great press out of it. None of the money raised has gone directly to fire victims, but only to nonprofit groups. Because why give money directly to victims when you can create jobs for nonprofit administrators instead? Reports show that some recipient groups have minimal ties to the fire zones and missions unrelated to helping fire victims. For example, the California Native Vote Project, a political nonprofit promoting Native American political participation, received funding for displaced Native families, even though there are only 62 Native residents out of the 66,000 fire victims. I am really sorry about your home. But here's a flyer about Indigenous voting rights. The group also advocates radical causes like removing Columbus statues and opposing federal immigration enforcement. Forget your burned home. The real tragedy is their immigration laws. Another nonprofit received funds even though its core mission is to organize and educate immigrant communities on local issues. Now, I'm sure they just mean legal immigrants. They wouldn't be funneling money intended for fire victims to illegal immigrants. At this point, the best way to get disaster aid in California is to start a nonprofit that hates America. Congratulations, California. You've made FEMA look efficient. Jon Stewart is so upset about Stephen Colbert being canceled that he brought in a gospel choir to sing Go F Yourself at Paramount.
Bring it down. Let's bring it down. A little bit quiet. Yourself. Just go yourself. Everybody.
That had all the sophisticated humor of a middle schooler who just learned curse words. Jon Stewart paid a choir to say what everyone's been saying to Colbert for years, except we did it for free. On The Late Show, Stephen Colbert responded directly to President Trump after the president posted this to Truth Social. I absolutely love that Colbert got fired. His talent was even less than his ratings.
How dare you, sir? Would an untalented man be able to compose the following satirical witticism? Go yourself.
$100 million a year and 200 employees, and the best you could come up with was, go F yourself? The punchlines really should be better than that when your writer's room costs more than a SpaceX launch. Honestly, if I wanted that kind of wit, I'd just read my DMs on Instagram. And now to the comment section. So the first comment we're going to look at was on the segment we did on Karen Bass, where she was talking about the identities of ICE agents, and she said, well, you know what? Doesn't really matter because they're not from LA. We had a few people comment about, isn't this a crime? Now here is one of the comments. This is from L. Teachum1. She's admitted to crimes here. If you dox someone to the extent it is to threaten, harass, or cause emotional stress, it's a crime. So I actually did dig into this a little bit, and I think she was referring to this USC 119, Section 119, protecting of individuals performing certain official duties. So this says, whoever knowingly makes restricted personal information about a covered person, which I think elsewhere is defined as a government employee, or a member of the immediate family of that covered person, publicly available with the intent to threaten, intimidate, or incite the commission of a crime of violence against that covered person, or a member of the immediate family of that covered person, or with the intent and knowledge that the restricted personal information will be used to threaten, intimidate, or facilitate the commission of a crime of violence against that covered person, or a member of the immediate family of that covered person. So I think this would cover doxing if there was intent. The key part of this particular statute is going to be the intent that's required. So that, I think, does apply to doxing if they do have the right intent. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention is we do have proposed legislation for doxing. This hasn't passed yet. This is, I think it's, who is this from? Senator Blackburn, Protecting Law Enforcement from Doxing Act. Now, this hasn't passed, but this would be written more clearly just towards just doxing, so not necessarily with that intent requirement. And the next comment we're going to look at is on the segment that we did about President Trump cutting the funding for the California high-speed rail project. It's, billions and billions over budget. I don't know what the total is, maybe $135 billion total budget now. And California had spent $7 billion so far, and people were asking where that has gone. Well, we had a number of comments about Newsom's wealth, and here's an example of one of them. This is from Just Kate. Well, Newsom is living in a $9 million house on a governor's salary. So I thought we could take a look at that. Not saying that Governor Newsom somehow used that money, but he is on a governor's salary, and he does appear to be living in a $9 million mansion. So this is from the San Francisco Standard. Gavin Newsom family buys a $9 million mansion in posh Marin Town. And here's a quote from that. Governor Gazin, I'm sorry. You know what? I'm not going to cut. We're just going to keep going. Governor Gavin Newsom just snapped up a new Bay Area home, a hidden mansion in the Marin County town of Kentfield, fitted with outdoor sculptures, a guest house, a handful of walk-in closets, and a swimming pool and spa. The governor and his wife paid around $9 million, 7% more than the asking price for the house on less than an acre in a deal that closed Thursday. Sources confirmed that the Newsom family bought the home through an LLC. And I think I actually have the name of that LLC down from this other article. This is an article from Yahoo Finance, that he bought that $9.1 million Marin County mansion, and he kept a $3.7 million Sacramento home. So he's definitely got some money, right? Let's see, I'll just read this where I think it has the name of the home. Let's see. Reports revealed that Newsom acquired the home, which is that $9 million home, through MHBD Farms LLC, an entity formed just 2 days before the transaction. So he does seem to have a lot of money. Now, I think his wife came from a lot of money. Her name, Jennifer Siebel Newsom. Apparently she comes from a really wealthy family. And I also know that one of the first businesses that Newsom started out, he got seed money from one of the Gettys. So the Newsoms are wired into money from way back when. So anyway, he definitely has a lot of money. And most of the research I did said that his net worth is somewhere in the $30 million range. I've seen as low as 20, but I think I saw some estimates as high as 60, but most of them seem to be around the $30 or $40 million range. All right, thank you again for your comments, and if you do have any other questions or things you want me to look at, please just put them in the comments and we will look at them. Thanks for watching Headlines, and if you know anyone out there who might enjoy my videos, please do share the link with them. I would really appreciate it. I'm Wes Austin. Good night.